LoreWarrior Double Feature, PLG-3Z, Pillager. Overview. The success of its Victor design led Hildco Interplanetary to develop a larger version of that battle mech for city assaults and defense, either standing alone or as part of a lance. That mech was the Pillager. Built during the Reunification War, the Pillager enjoyed great success with the SLDF and helped to turn the tide of that conflict in the Star League's favour. The Pillager is the largest battle mech ever constructed by Hildco. The destruction of the facilities that made its advanced systems would keep the Pillager out of production from the end of the Succession Wars, but the decoding of the Grey Death memory core provided Hildco engineers with the knowledge their predecessors had lost. Hildco Interplanetary recently restarted production of the Pillager at its plant on St. Ives. Capabilities. Built on one of the largest chassis ever designed in the Innosphere, the Pillager presents an intimidating sight. The new VLAR 300 XL engine gives the Pillager the same top speed as the Atlas, but at half the weight, allowing for the installation of heavier weapons and armour. The Pillager's main weapons are its 2 Gauss rifles, a large laser, and 4 medium lasers. The Pillager's 19 tons of armour give it excellent protection. 14 double heat sinks keep the modern-day Pillager cool. Indeed, it is one of the coolest running mechs on the battlefield. The Pillager is also equipped with jump jets that allow it to leap up to 90 meters. The Pillager has a long and colourful combat history, including action in the Reunification War, the Amaris Civil War, and the Succession Wars, and according to records of those conflicts, enemy forces tended to flee from the mere sight of approaching Pillagers. Deployment. Hildco has already completed 4 production runs of the Pillager, and has begun a 5th. The biggest customer so far has been the St. Ives Compact Military, and their government has announced plans to sell the Pillager to mercenary units in the near future. 3058 Upgrade Overview. Inspired by the success of its Victor design, Hildco Interplanetary developed a larger version for assaulting cities and defences. Alone or as part of a lance, the Pillager is built during the Reunification War and was the largest mech ever constructed by Hildco. Production ceased during the Second Succession War with the destruction of the manufacturing facilities that supplied its advanced systems, but the Grey Death memory core allowed the reintroduction of the Pillager to the Innosphere. Capabilities. Built on one of the largest chassis ever designed, it presents an intimidating sight. Its VLAR 300 XL engine provides it the same top speed as an Atlas, but at half the weight, allowing the installation of heavier weapons and armour. Armed with twin Gauss, a large laser, and 4 medium lasers, it's protected by 19 tons of armour, equipped with 14 double heat sinks, and jump jets. Deployment. The Pillager's combat record and history is long and colourful. It's seen action in every war from the Reunification War through the Succession Wars. Records indicate that forces during these conflicts tended to flee at the mere sight of approaching Pillagers. Most recently, it displayed its awesome power during the Fedcom and the Capellan St. Ives Civil Wars. Many strongholds and defences collapsed when a Pillager-led unit assaulted them, and even now, with the war raging between Hassek's Capella March and House Lau, the Pillager is making a difference on the field, as it did during the Amaris War. The Pillager today serves in most of the House militaries and mercenary units, and the Capella military has its largest number of the brawny mechs thanks to the reintegration of St. Ives. Variants. When it was reintroduced in 3058, the Pillager enjoyed an advantage over many mechs its own size and weight. Military technology, though, doesn't stand still, and the Pillager's design employs Star League technology, once the pinnacle of technological achievement, but continuing advances have since surpassed this benchmark. The Strategios asked Hildco to produce a Pillager for the CCAF utilising their newly designed stealth armour, and in order to accomplish this, Hildco had to license Hellspont on Cyan to produce the Pillager in limited runs. The first Pillager, dubbed the 4Z, walked out of Hellspont's Cyan plant in the mid-3060s, and following the reintegration of St. Ives, Hildco opened its St. Ives plant for production. When the Strategios revamped the CCAF's tactical doctrines, they asked Hildco again to redesign the Pillager to reflect these new changes. Currently, 2 new Pillager variants exist, the 5Z and 5L, deployed in the Capellan line. The 5Z is an upgraded version of the 4, retains both the Gauss rifles and medium lasers, but replaces the large with an ERPPC while mounting stealth armour. To accomplish this, designers dropped the jump jets in favour of triple-strength Myoma, giving this variant greater speed. As an upgrade of the original 3Z, the 5L variant is proof of Hildco's ability to think outside the box. This variant directly reflects the new Capellan tactical doctrine, receiving an Arrow 4 with 3 tons of ammunition. The 5L carries the same energy weapons as the Z, with an additional ER medium laser. Notable mech warriors. Storeman Michael Searcy. Lieutenant Searcy served in the former AWFC's battlemech forces until late 3059. Charged with cowardice, a court-martial found him guilty for his actions while on New Canton during the Marek-Lau offensive of 3057. The AWFC drummed Lieutenant Searcy out of the service with other than honourable discharge, and dispossessed with little money he made his way to Solaris to start over. He then found a place in the Davian-aligned Black Star stables, where he fought his way to be one of the top gladiators on Solaris 7, and while Searcy made a name for himself, the flames of civil war smouldered in both the Lyran Alliance and Federated Suns. Solaris 7 was no different. Steiner-Davian hatred exploded and consumed the game world. During the Open Grand Championship final, Storeman Michael Searcy, piloting a Pillager 3Z, fought against Victor Vandergriff's Banshee in the Colosseum. Bad blood between them boiled over in their fight, and the two warriors broke through the stadium when the arena's safety system failed, and their fight spilled out into the city. This action sparked the flash fire of war between Lyran and Davian loyalists, and when the smoke cleared and order was restored, Vandergriff and Searcy had killed each other in a final battle. I have a hard time believing that the Banshee would win that fight, but it's a cool idea, cool visual. The two of them just literally probably just punching the crap out of each other in city streets. Anyway, the Pillager, mass 100 tons, chassis Hildco Heavy Type 7QT, power plant is a Vlar 300XL, cruise speed of 32, max speed of 54 kph, with jump jets provided by Hildco Model 13, with a jump capacity of 90 meters. Its armor is Star Slab 9.5 Mark II. Armament is 2 Poland main model A Gauss rifles with 4 Series Arms medium lasers and 1 Defiance B3L large laser. Its manufacturers Hildco Interplanetary Incorporated and Hellespont Mech Factories. Primary factory is St. Ives and Siam. Communication system is the Series Com Recon Model 12K, and targeting and tracking is the C Apple Churchill. As far as stats are concerned, this is a mech that can walk 3, run 5, jump 3, with 28 heat dissipation from its 14 double heat sinks. It has 9 armor on the head, 52 on the CT with 10 on the rear, 32 armor on the side torsos with 10 on the rear, and 34 on the arms and 42 on the legs. It's a big, dumpy mech, but by God is it one of the most deadly. And it's also not the original Pillager model that was written up. I believe the original was possibly in a Battle Technology magazine, and if not, it was in one of the earlier sourcebooks. But this model of the Pillager is an upgrade again. I believe the model originally had twin AC-20s, and for whatever reason, the Pillager kind of got forgotten about by writers or whatever, and it kind of came back in this TRO. But yeah, it was the original twin AC-20 assault mech, 100-tonner, but I guess they probably felt it was too similar to the King Crab, in the sense of another mech with dual AC-20s, so they swap it out for dual Gauss rifles. It's still it's an intimidating mech. It's brutal. It looks great as well. It's just this big, angry. It's got claws, but on its hands, but they don't count as weapons. It's just, I guess, it's just to look cool. But yeah, it's a savage jet. Now, also, sorry for any background noise. We have heard of planes flying out. Apparently, every transport plane under the sun wants to fly over the house today. Yeah, if you hear any like background rumbling of a jet that's just passed over, I do apologize for that, of course. Yeah, I mean, the Pillager is definitely one of those mechs that it is absolutely terrifying to come up against, because it's so thickly armored. Its only real weakness is the XL engine. Upon, losing that side torso, the whole mech is shut down. But it's clubbing through that. When you look at the fact that its left and right torsos have 32 points of armor alone, and the thing can just pump out ridiculous damage back at you for very little heat. I mean, twin Gauss rifles, 16 rounds in each, by the way, for the Gauss rifles, and then it has a further 2 tons of ammo, 1 in each leg, so it actually gives it another lot of 8 rounds for each rifle, which is impressive. It also works into the build rules as well, because the ammo in the legs goes into the torsos. Unfortunately, the artwork doesn't properly show it, but the 2 big nipple bits in the artwork on the older art are the Gauss rifles. So the ammo presumably must be located somewhere in the hip section, and it moves up and it feeds into the magazine from there. The rest of the weaponry is just kind of spread out. You've got the 2 medium lasers in the left arm, you've got one in the head, and then you've got one in the CT, and then the large laser is located in the right arm. So who knows what's going on with the large laser there on the right arm must be massive. The old artwork is great for that. It's all over the place, but it's the big brother of the Victor as well. Think about that. The Victor and the Pillager are related in that respect. It's basically an upturned Victor apparently. I don't really see much of a kind of familial resemblance. Let's say maybe the head has some of the kind of arched crown type design there that the original Victor had, and the kind of fishbowl sort of cockpit design on the. And I'm looking at the original art here. I'm not looking at the stuff from the most recent Ill-Clan Recognition Guide art, from the new scene stuff. So I can only go by that in the moment. But yeah, it's cool. It's one of the bro's favorite mechs, if not probably his favorite assault mech from the Inner Sphere. It's one that he's always sort of had a soft spot for. I would be genuinely worried about bringing a mech like this onto the table for something like table tech, because it would have to be something that either the whole lance would have to fight, or it would have to be an enemy as part of a much larger engagement that the players are involved in. Because yeah, it's scary. This thing is nasty. It's like it's end boss levels of of opponent to throw in there. So, but that's the Pillager, and it's great. As a side note, or anyone who gets this far, I was going through, because I'm going through this book, and I realized that I did the original technical readout 3058 of the Emperor, but I didn't do the upgrade. So let me know if you want me to just do the upgraded version as a separate, because that's got things like variants and notable MechWarriors, and I'll add that on onto the channel as well when I get around to it. So there'll be 2 Emperors, and I'll link the original one, so as not to basically just try and overlap or do the same thing multiple times. But anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good week, and I'll catch you all next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.